But we have two equally enthusiastic companies who's going to present now. And first off is Alex. You're on.
I'm on. Great. It's close to lunch, I know. Bear with me, and we'll see where we take this. I come from a company called Evothings. We specialize in the borderline between where the mobile devices meet the connected devices. So connecting phones to various things. And we found this interesting vacuum between huge industries, the mobile industry and the industrial internet, the M2M, call it what you like, internet of everything. But between, there was, rather than a plethora of tools and gadgets, there was more or less a vacuum. So we wanted to claim a part of the space here and inspire developers out there to make applications, to make services on top of this infrastructure of sensors and connectivity out there. And our claim is that using a hybrid approach where most of the development goes on in web technologies and only plugging in native functionality when you need it is a way of doing this very many times faster. We see that mobile devices are not only a small peephole into a cloud service, or all data gathered from sensors, they show up in a cloud, and you have your phone with a small screen, and that's the role of the phone. We don't think it's going to come down that way. We think sometimes the phone is the sensor, sometimes it's a remote control, sometimes it's a supporting device for creating good decisions by visualizing data in a meaningful way. And sometimes the phone is the sensor itself or the gateway that takes you between the sensors and the surrounding world. And this means that new roles demands for new technologies and new tools. This is another thing that we believe, that adding apps, adding services does create additional value for devices. Like this is a Texas Instrument sensor tag. It's a $25 lab equipment. They thought they would sell a few thousand. They've sold over 50,000 units of it. And like it's nice and red, but without the apps, it doesn't do much. So our take is that more service, more apps, to a certain extent, of course, creates more business and more value. And our contribution to this is that we have a hybrid environment where based on a lot of open source components, best one is maybe Apache Cordova, which is a cross-platform way of creating code that will run both on Android and iOS and Windows Phone. It also has a number of native plugins, and sometimes they're there, and that's wonderful, and sometimes the native plugins is missing, so somebody has to build them. So if you go to the Apache Cordova and look for Bluetooth Low Energy, it says Evothings built, one of the few ones that actually work. So sometimes we contribute, and sometimes, like in the case with iBeacons, it's a German guy named Peter Metz who's written a wonderful library on top of our library. So that's the beauty of the open source community. So what we offer is a web-style editing. So we have a client or a runtime environment that has a lot of libraries inside. It looks like an innocent web view, but it actually has a lot of soldiers hidden in there that do different things. They're sleeping until you wake them up with JavaScript. So you send JavaScript to the network, you write your code, push it to the clients, and the client instantly reloads, much like you would expect a web page to behave. But this time, it's a native app that actually does and accesses APIs in the network on the device, and so on. So if you want to read a NFC tag, or if you want to send an SMS, it's hard to do from the web container, so we extend it in different ways. And we also add industry specific. So I've got the question like, what's so special, what's so IoT about this? This is just a hybrid developing environment. Yes, it is, but we do strong security, we do XMPP, we do Bluetooth Low Energy, a lot of stuff that you won't see in the general development frameworks from third parties, and only being accessible for people that know Xcode or know Android Java. So this is one example. It's a wonderful client of ours, and they make a shell which speaks. It looks like a form factor of a shell for a Apple phone, and it actually speaks Bluetooth Low Energy with the phone and allows you to navigate and maneuver the screen without touching the screen. So it's a IR-based technology which surrounds the screen with little lights. So we built a library which allows developers to make their own apps for this, and we have one version for JavaScript, there's a version for Unity, and so on, so that more developers outside the traditional groups can do this. So go to the website. It's a pretty cool demo actually they're doing. One of our favorite gadgets is this Texas Instrument sensor tag. Same thing there. We built a module which allows you to access the gateway, the serial gateway. It's called GATT server that accesses the temperature and the magnetometer, accelerometer, and so on. So you can directly from JavaScript in a minute or two make your own app, which maybe you can measure using the IR camera, measuring the temperature of your coffee mug, or there are some push buttons here, or if you want to use the accelerometer to do some weird thing that actually will display something on the phone. So during the break, feel free to come by and speak with me. I have this weird t-shirt on, I have long hair, and I love to talk about these things. Any questions?